April 28, 2011, Radio City Music Hall, New York City. Day 1 of the 2011 NFL Draft, and a franchise-transforming selection is at hand. The Carolina Panthers hold the top overall pick, and they are interested in a quarterback. At the end of college football's regular season, there are two considered to be head and shoulders above the rest. Stanford's Andrew Luck.
What a pass by Andrew Luck.
And Auburn's Cam Newton.
Here's Newton. Why not?
Luck, however, stuns the football world in January, announcing he will return to Stanford, clearing the path for Carolina to draft Newton #1. Luck goes first overall to the Colts the following year. But what if?
All right, you guys should have your case files here. This is case 100-4. The year is 2011. Andrew Luck makes a decision to return to Stanford. Everybody assumed after his redshirt sophomore season, he's going to enter the NFL draft. Now, that decision could change a lot of NFL history, and some of the people it could impact. Let's start right here with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yep. Cam Newton won the Heisman Trophy that year. Cam Newton ended up being the first overall pick of the Carolina Panthers, but does he end up being the first overall pick?
No, it's not you think.
Oh,
it
no.
is the answer.
Trust
no.
me. We're going to get there, Trotter. We're going to get there. Now, how about big names? Remember Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
Why did he leave the Indianapolis Colts?
Yep.
Because you got a once-in-a-lifetime guy in Andrew Luck. How about one of the best defensive players we've seen in the NFL over the last 20 years?
100
Von
sacks.
Miller. Yeah, is that good?
Yeah.
But in 2012, it was RG3
Yep.
or Andrew Luck. That debate no longer exists. And then let's go big picture for Andrew Luck's career. Here he is with the Colts. What if he's with the Carolina Panthers? Does he stay healthier? Does he win a Super Bowl that Cam Newton doesn't win? There's a lot of questions to answer, and I want to give you guys a little bit of a look here in case you forget. These are the names, and that history changes with that decision.
In that 2011 draft, Cam obviously is the guy that everybody's talking about, but is that the guy?
No.
Is that the guy?
Andrew Luck.
If Andrew Luck is
not,
there.
It's not even a debate, right, DJ?
Cam Newton took an Auburn football team and won a national championship, and that's a tremendous
It
accomplishment.
dominated the SEC.
But if you saw Stanford football for the previous, whatever it was, 15 years before Harbaugh got there, and then with Andrew Luck, you saw him completely turn around this Stanford football program. You saw him playing a pro-style offense. I mean, he was the best quarterback prospect I had evaluated at that time, and still to this day, I've never evaluated a better quarterback prospect.
You know, DJ, as a matter of fact, I felt like it was a little bit much at the time when Andrew Luck was coming out. He was basically kissed into the Hall of Fame before he ever stepped on an NFL field. Now that we've seen a decade from Luck and Cam Newton, I don't think it's that obvious that Andrew Luck is the superior pro football player. This was not Ryan Leaf versus Peyton Manning way back when. It was clear-cut that if both those guys were available, it was a no-brainer, would have been Luck.
And DJ, you said that he was one of the highest graded quarterbacks that you'd ever rated as far as Andrew Luck is concerned. What was the gap? What was the difference between Andrew Luck and Cam Newton at that point?
What he had on his plate and to operate it, that system is one of them. And just as a thrower, he was far superior to Cam Newton. Cam Newton had a huge arm, but he did not throw the ball as accurately as Andrew Luck, and I didn't think it was close in that regard. And the other thing I would say, when you're comparing their careers, compare what defenses these guys were playing with, too, when you want to compare. You give that guy the Carolina Panthers defense that Cam Newton got to play with, I'd take my chances with Andrew
My
Luck.
pushback forever will be in defense of Cam Newton. He went 15-1 throwing the ball to Ted Ginn Jr. and Philly Brown. He got to a Super Bowl, won that MVP. The diminishment of what Cam Newton's done over the last decade, the greatest rookie season by a rookie QB ever.
Go ahead and stir, young man. Go ahead and do your thing. So we're talking about Cam doing all this stuff with the Carolina Panthers. They had the first pick. They take this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to step up and see who takes Cam? And where does he go in the draft?
I think he goes number 2.
Okay, Jim, come on.
Look.
So who's picking him at 2? Denver's got the pick. Do they use
No question he goes to Denver.
What about that guy?
Great player. We all know. Hall of Fame talent. But who's making the call?
Elway. That's Elway's first year there.
What position did John Elway play?
Last I checked was quarterback.
Do I have to say any more? We all know this. When it comes to the draft, the quarterback position is always overvalued. So if
we saw that in that draft for sure.
We see it in every draft.
But nothing like the 2011
No, I mean, when you talk about Blaine Gabbert and Jake Locker and who's
Christian
the other one?
Ponder.
Christian Ponder, of course, they were all overrated. They're so desperate for a franchise quarterback that they were overdraft for them. Because of that, I don't think this changes. We know that Von Miller is an incredible talent, but when it comes to talent, the quarterback position always trumps every other position on the field.
Jim has hit the nail on the head here. The 2011 draft is the proof that you do not need and you should not overreach for a quarterback. Don't do that. And in fact, of course, Cam Newton would have gone to Denver.
Damn, keep it on, man. Good luck to you, man. Stay healthy. Okay.
But that's just the start of it, fellas, because the torch would have been passed all over the world of pro football that year.
Hey, wait a second. You need help?
I brought some visual aids here to make my point here for you. Andrew Luck is now living in Football America in Charlotte, North Carolina. So instead, Cam is going to land in Denver, here. I can't see him, but he's here. That means that there's no room now for Peyton Manning. Right. Don't look confused by it, Peyton. No room for you in Denver, no matter. There's a spot open now with Matt Hasselbeck moving on up in Seattle.
Oh,
so you're
man.
gonna move to Seattle. With Peyton Manning in Seattle and presumably winning a Lombardi at least that Russell Wilson won when he was there, now, he's not going to wind up in Seattle. Where's he going to go? Who was rumored to be taking him in the third round if Seattle didn't? The Philadelphia Eagles. So now Russell Wilson lands in Philadelphia. There's no room for Carson Wentz there. Where's Carson Wentz go? I'll leave that to you. I'm out of gas.
Here's how this all plays out. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this lovely? It says Buffalo Bills. Baldy, take this glass slipper.
All right.
So they've got the 3rd overall pick.
Right.
So your guy, Chan Gailey, right?
Yes.
And his GM, Buddy Nix, right? They're trying to right the ship in Buffalo. That would be Von Miller, 3rd overall.
I want to get to this guy real quick. Because if we say he ends up going to Buffalo, right?
Yep.
Think about that division that's been gift-wrapped for this guy right here throughout his career. And now imagine twice a year.
What, he did the AFC Championship game to him?
Imagine what we saw in that game, seeing it twice a year.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's very glad that did not work out with Von Miller in Buffalo.
You know, Von was going to be a great player any place he went to.
It was my honor and privilege to play for this organization.
I know on the map up there, we've got Peyton going to Seattle. But is that really where he goes? Does Indianapolis really give up on him? If there is no Andrew Luck, everything was suck for luck, suck for luck. If Andrew Luck isn't there, do they hang on to Peyton?
But Baldy, everything we knew at the time, the medical, they had him for a year. They tried to rehab him. They
all the surgeries.
They saw it really wasn't going to happen. Now, I will say this, by that fall, Manning was starting to get something, which is why Denver ended up coming in and going after him. So maybe they do hold on to him.
Just knowing Jimmy Irsay was ready to turn the page for Andrew Luck.
I think the bigger question is,
what about RG3? Would you put Peyton Manning out to pasture for RG3?
The following year?
It seems hard to believe.
Yeah.
Seems hard to believe.
What about that's the other X factor?
Just because it's so different of an offense that you'd have to run.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Washington Redskins select Robert Griffin III, quarterback, Baylor.
I actually think that RG3 ends up being the 1st overall pick that next year. I think he fit with the Redskins, so I think the Redskins trade all the way up to number 1.
RG3 would go number 1 the next year if
Correct.
If Andrew Luck, because Andrew Luck and Cam go in 11, that leaves RG3 was clearly the top guy that year. The Eagles actually met with RG3. Andy Reid loved RG3.
He seemed to fit.
So if you're talking about if the Colts didn't want to take RG3 with the 1st overall pick and they wanted to auction that off, we've seen a Philadelphia Eagles organization make bold moves.
Yeah.
I would not have shocked me if they went all in and went up to get RG3. He ends up in the division just with a different team.
If we go back to the initial point here, Andrew Luck to Carolina, Cam to Denver, does that change the QBs that match up in Super Bowl 50? Isn't it Cam's Broncos versus Luck's Panthers for all,
I think
all
so.
the marbles?
Yeah, but you
There's
get
no Von Miller to
you
chase.
get Cam, but you lose Von.
You lose the MVP of the game.
But there's no question Cam Newton's pro career has so far superseded Andrew Luck's pro career.
Right.
Cam came in as a transcendent talent down in Carolina. And I think if he had gone to Denver, he could have done the same things there. For all of the talk about Andrew Luck being a generational player. When you look at the results on the field in terms of performance, for us to assume that if he goes to Carolina, that they're going to a Super Bowl, I can't make that leap.
He had no run game and he had no defense, and he put that team in the playoffs almost every single year.
I think Cam was a better professional player than Andrew Luck.
And I'm saying if you put Andrew Luck with that setup that Cam had in Carolina, that he does everything and more in Carolina.
I think their careers would still parallel in terms of wins, in terms of injuries, in terms of just the way they played, with the passion they played, with the way they gave up their bodies for everything. I think their careers, maybe, this year would be the last we've seen of both of them.
So, if Andrew Luck enters the 2011 NFL Draft,
The Carolina Panthers select Andrew Luck, quarterback, Stanford.
RG3 still lands in D.C., but Von Miller spends his career in Buffalo. Peyton Manning never leaves Indy. Instead, Cam Newton goes to Denver while Luck lands in Carolina, and they both make a Super Bowl run, maybe against each other. But ultimately, Luck still shocks the masses by retiring early, and all the football alternatives in the world can't change that one.
I think what we're saying at the end of the day is you don't need that extra year of school when you've got Luck. What? That was cute.
No, it's good.
That was cute.